Episode 207 of the HHH Racing Podcast is brought to you by Hawthorne Racecourse. Hawthorne Racecourse, Chicagoland's hometown track. And now, let's start the show. Good evening and hello to episode 207 of the HHH Racing Podcast. I'm your proud host, Howard Kravitz. Thanks for joining us today live, a day earlier than normal, the day before Thanksgiving. Please make sure you subscribe on the bottom right-hand side of the screen. And after you do that, hit that notification bell so that you know when new content rises. Also, smash that like button. Again, hitting that like button, hitting the notification bell, subscribing, all of that helps YouTube tell other people this is a fantastic show. It promotes the channel and it will send more people to the HHH Racing Podcast. We'd greatly appreciate if you would do that. Also, you can see on my name tag there, you can follow me on Twitter at HKravitz. And at the bottom of the screen, you can see it right now, hkravitzhorse@gmail.com is my email for any questions and suggestions. And also on the bottom of the email, I'm really excited about this. On the bottom of the screen there. Next Tuesday, Chad Brown. That's right, Chad Brown, one of the best trainers in the entire universe, will be right here on the HHH Racing Podcast, approximately 8 p.m. Eastern. The show will start Tuesday. I'm very excited to have Chad Brown on. I've met him for the first time at the Breeders' Cup. Really excited to have him. Not only that, we are going to have a mystery guest to kick off the show. I can't say who. I'll wait to bring on Pete and Paul to talk about that. But we have a mystery guest. This is a person you are absolutely going to be very excited to see on our airwaves. So we have a big mystery guest along with Chad Brown next Tuesday. This is going to be a very highly anticipated show. I'm really excited about that. Listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Anchor. And of course, we have the Power Picks going. And I sent out an email to everyone, 200 plus people on our email list. And if you'd like to be on our email list, please send me an email. I'll be happy to put you on our email list. The Power Picks, once again, we scored with a 5-1 shot last week. Missed on a few others, but again, the Power Picks ROI is around $2.50. It stays red hot. It's only $15.99 per month. And I also announced on email that I have a very special promotion that I'll be talking about next month for 2023. This is a great value for all of you that, whether you're involved with the Power Picks or not, highly recommend you stay tuned to a great promotion for the Power Picks in 2023. And then finally, great website information, hhhracingpodcast.com, set up by my good friend Pete Visco, who'll be coming on here in just a second, who runs our runs our website for the podcast, does a great job. So please make sure you check that out. All right, without any further ado, let's bring on one of my co-hosts. The other one looks like it's still coming home from a football game. So let's bring on first from the East Coast and Maryland, USA, Mr. Pete Visco. Pete,
what's going on, Howard? Happy Thanksgiving, my friend.
Man. How you doing?
Not too bad, Joe.
I'm doing great, thanks. Paul will be on shortly. I believe he was refereeing this guy's like one of the hardest working people.
He's always got something.
College basketball, right? College basketball, which I'm as I told you before the show, I'm trying to get in better shape, so I could probably referee a game maybe in a few weeks or so, up to a month. The guy's refereeing high school football games. He's just he works for the Saratoga Special.
Announcing games. Does he announce the games too? I was listening to him announce one time, so he's all over the place.
He does. He does a great job. If you've now listened to Paul Halloran announcing high school football games, highly recommend you do that. When he comes on, Pete will tell us where people can look into that. But he was refereeing, I believe, a playoff game. And I
Yeah.
believe the game that he was refereeing today was actually at Fenway Park. How
Yeah,
cool
that's
is
what he
that?
said. That's awesome, right? That's gotta be great. I mean, that has to be cool. I mean, I can't wait. Hopefully, he can give us a little tidbit about it when he gets on.
I mean, he can legitimately tell people I was involved in a game on the field at Fenway Park. Of
Fenway,
course,
that's
not
fantastic.
necessarily playing left field or shortstop, but hey,
Yeah,
he might have been running around where left field or shortstop would be, though.
hopefully he dove at least into home or something just to get a little dirty, right? I mean, I'm sure that sounds like something Paul would do. Maybe a couple beers in, maybe he
Uh,
would do that.
well, I don't know. He asked the referee.
That's true.
I'm not so sure that'd be a great idea, Pete.
After the game's over.
So tonight we're going to be talking about obviously with Thanksgiving tomorrow as we film this live here on Thursday. We thank everyone for watching. Please make sure you comment in the live chat. And if you're just finding out that we have a show right now, please tell your friends to gather around the proverbial TV, iPad, tablet, whatever phone to watch us. Because of Thanksgiving, we had to change some things here, Pete. So we're going to be talking about the Friday late pick five sequence at Churchill. And we haven't talked about Churchill for a while, so it's good to go back there. And of course, they have two fantastic stakes. The big one with the venerable Rich Strike and the Clark, Pete.
Yeah, I mean this show always enjoys when Rich Strike runs. It gives us a little comedy, gives us a little discussion. By the way, if you hear any howling, my wife is out shopping right now, so my dog is upstairs howling. So I don't know if it's coming through, but here she is. She's come to say hi and annoy me and annoy everyone. But
No,
she's there.
annoying. We see a tail wagging is all we see, Peter.
Let's see if we can get her up here. She's getting heavy.
She,
Oh, I hit her head. There she is.
Hi, doggy. And what's her name?
Her name is Guppy, and she is.
Puppy. I love it.
Yeah, that was her name when we rescued her. So my son was like, "I
Oh,
like that name," and it fit when she was about this big. But now she's overgrown
what
that
kind of
a bit.
dog is this?
She is a half beagle, half Rottweiler.
Beautiful. Hi, Guppy. Now,
Yeah,
does that confuse her? She's been called a fish.
she'll eat it. That's all. I mean, I don't think she
Okay.
likes fish, so we'll go with that for
All
now.
right.
So,
Very, very,
but there's
very cute.
Guppy. Guppy makes her first live appearance with
We
so
definitely
special
need
day. Special day.
we definitely need a Jackson sighting soon. We missed Jackson
Yeah,
on the
he's
show,
not
but
here today. Next
well,
time he's around, we'll pop him in too.
okay. So Pete, here's what we're doing. We're sort of flying by the seat of our pants because we thought Paul might be here at the start, but he's not. No worries. Let's
Yeah,
just go ahead and start, Pete, right into the handicapping.
let's
We
do
do
it.
have Jim Miller, by the way, coming on at 5:45 Eastern time, so in approximately 40 minutes. We'll be welcomed by Jim Miller from Hawthorne Racecourse. Big weekend at Hawthorne, Pete. There's a huge live money contest that are going to be going on to get seats into the NHC. Yours truly will be playing in those contests. So I'm very excited to be involved with Hawthorne Racecourse. Of course, they're a proud sponsor for
Yeah.
us as well. We have one more. We have a comment from Matt Miller who wants everyone to know that special guest is not him, and that is correct. It is not him. So you should be able to maintain a genuine level of excitement with people knowing that this surprise is legit amazing. Matt, I agree with you. Matt knows who the surprise is. I think only Matt and myself and the person coming on, actually, the only three people that know the surprise is Pete. And I'll give you a little bit of a hint, Pete. This person is a TV personality. I'm not even. It might
That
be.
really narrows it down. Yeah,
Might not even be horse racing, but this person
yeah.
is a TV personality. We'll just
Okay,
leave it at that.
that's
So,
like 1 in a million. So okay,
right,
I got it.
we're very excited to have this person on. All right, Pete. Let's get to the pick five. The pick five
Okay.
we're talking about is the late pick five on Friday. Again, this is the late pick five on Friday. And for those of you that watch this now or later, this is our feature sequence of the power picks. So Pete will be sending his grid. Paul will be sending his grid. Again, this is our feature for the power picks. It's the Friday late pick five, which starts race 8. And I'm going to go ahead and bring up the Equibase right now. We see it right there. It starts in race 8, Pete, approximately 4:27 Eastern time. It starts with a 50 claimer, 6 furlongs, restricted for 3-year-old fillies on the dirt. And you see the field there. It's a pretty even field. It goes down to 10. the morning line favorite is the number 2 Honey Run for Hartman and Merle. And I'm going to go ahead and take some banners off here and put ours on. Pete, did you handicap this without the morning lines? Because I did.
I did, but then I was actually in the middle of, I think, the last race I was looking at, and the morning lines came up. So I saw them. So it was more of a half and half this time than a full blown. Because what I wind up doing is I sort of go through and pick out the horses I think have a chance to win, and then whittle it down. But I had the morning lines as I was whittling, so
Got it.
I cheated a little bit this time.
Okay. I there is no whittling for me. I had no morning lines until I saw them today. And of course, we are both going the same horse speed. We're going with the 2 here, Honey Run, who I was a little surprised with this low in the morning line, 5-2. Let me go ahead and switch us, put us on the side here, Pete. 5-2 morning line on Honey Run. That's who you're going with to kick off the pick 5.
Yeah, and nothing too complicated. One thing we talk about on here sometimes is, again, dirtied up forms a little bit. So this one has, so 4 back, you see sort of at this level at the claiming 50,000, has a win, then hit the turf twice, had one good race on the turf, but then a 10th by 9, which again, it just doesn't look great. So when people look at the form quickly, then came back on the dirt again in sort of the same level and won again. So to me, I'm looking at it going, the last 2 dirt races sort of in this company, then it's got 2 wins, and that's both after, well, one's before the claim, but one's after the claim. So sort of held her form. Sorry, I almost said held her form through the claim, which you like to see. So to me, that was just sort of the, again, nothing too complicated. I did see too that I had a Hartman Merle combination, was 32% win, 66% in the money in dirt sprints at Churchill. So that combo is pretty good as well. So again, nothing overly complicated, but I think this one, at least on paper, and as a closer, comes off the pace, and there looks to be a bunch of speed in here. So
I was looking for a closer. That's exactly what I was going to
yeah,
mention. Great minds think alike, or like minds think alike.
like mine. Yeah,
Sue
great
Ellen,
might be a
Michigan,
stretch.
owned by my good friend Marshall Graham, by the way, 10 Strike Racing. So off the claim, she's always capable. I've got her actually as a B, just in case the pace held together, as if we've never seen that before, Pete. But the number 1, Sue Ellen, Michigan, has speed. There's
Seinfeld
others.
reference, by the way. Nice
I'm
Seinfeld
sorry.
reference. That's a Seinfeld reference for any Seinfeld
Absolutely.
fans out there.
St. Eros Girl, the 5, definitely has some early speed, 106 time form. Solid Tune, probably be closing. Strong Silent, who knows what to make of this Romans horse off the layoff. 3-1, by the way, in the morning line.
Yeah.
So I thought, Can't Be Touched has to go, right? I mean, that's the only way that
Yeah.
that she knows. So I was looking for a closer also. Pete, I don't like putting a horse on top that just won by 6, because the horse is automatically going to be overbet in
Yeah.
that situation. But the distance suits. These keen ices probably are better, as they get older. So I'm going with this horse on top. I do have the 5 in second, St. Eros Girl. I just sort of like this horse from the standpoint that others are more proven. Maybe this one's just getting better. This was her first start in 2 months, and she ran a big number. Maybe she can sit off the speed and run big again. That was my thought with St. Eros Girl in second.
I
And then
actually almost had that one, by the way. So I'm with you on the
okay.
5. That was probably like my 4th choice if I went down one more. So I'm with you, and I see Paul actually has that horse
Yes.
as well. There's Paul in the behind the scenes there. I see Paul
Yeah, we'll
coming
bring.
on,
Oh,
so
I
we can
like his
bring him
hat. We'll
in.
bring him on in a second when I'm done here.
Yeah.
He can wait. Uh, what do you make of the 8 here, Pete? Because Strong Silence off. Now I know Romans is pretty good off of layoffs. This is over a year layoff, dropping into 50. That was my main red flag. If this horse is really that good, why would they drop in for 50? That's a big red flag to me, even though I admit the horse can win and I'll use her defensively.
Yeah, I agree. That always scares you a little bit, but on talent alone, maybe this one is just better than these. But again, it's not one I would put on top, only because it's sort of questionable. And then again, at 3-1, or I mean, it wouldn't shock me if they bet this horse is the favorite. And by the time post time comes, so I didn't know what to do with this one. I wound up putting her in third. Just again, if she comes back in any sort of form that she was in last year, then she's right there with the rest of them. So
Yeah, but
it's a tough call.
now, I mean, this is West Point. They've got plenty of good horses. I heard they used to own a pretty well. I guess they still partially own a pretty good
Yeah.
horse that just retired. But If this horse is that good or had upside, why would they just dump her in for 50?
No, I agree. It's questionable. It's questionable, but so
Although
I
the purse is big though, Pete. So that's the tricky thing with Kentucky, right? The purse is what's the purse here? Is it's actually only 68K. Okay, that's actually small for Churchill. Anyway, I don't know what to do with the 8.
no,
But we
no.
both like the 2. Correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
we both like the
Okay.
2 on top at least.
Speaking of people to like, how about that for a transition? Let's bring in another person that everyone, forget like, absolutely loves. The one and only from the Saratoga Special, Mr. Paul Halloran. Paul, how you doing?
Paul, muted for old time's sake. Paul, you're
Of
on mute for
course.
old
Paul, you're
time's sake.
muted.
I mean, there we go.
You could not be tardy, Professor Kravitz.
Thank you for hustling back. How's the foot? Who won?
St. Mary's of Lynn, they got a really good team. They're going to the Division, whatever, 5 or 6 state championship game at Gillette Stadium. How about the kids on St. Mary's of Lynn playing at Fenway Park today, and a week from Saturday, they finish their season at Gillette Stadium where the Patriots play. Not bad.
Those are some good memories for them, right?
Yeah, no kidding, huh?
Paul, how was the refereeing in the game? I heard it was a little shaky.
I don't comment on refereeing, Howard. You know that.
Okay.
And I don't know enough. I know a lot about basketball refereeing. I don't want to start talking about other sports.
I'm sure the announcing end was absolutely spectacular as usual. And was your color commentator there?
No, I actually didn't have to do today. Today I do PR for the school, St. Mary's. That's
Okay.
one of my jobs.
So I was there as a fan.
I was there to. I got to write a magazine story about the game, so I was just grabbing some quotes. I don't have enough jobs, Howard.
Man, I mean, seriously.
we were just listing them off before you joined a little earlier. We got tired just talking about all the crap you do.
I'm covering a game tomorrow morning for the newspaper that I used to work for many years ago. So
wow. Well, Paul, real quick, you're going with all the Seinfeld fans here in the opening leg of the Pick 5. I'll bring it back here with Sue Ellen, Michigan. Are you concerned about other speed in the race? Obviously not.
Yeah, I am. I mean, I thought it's the one of the two, to be honest with you, and you'll see on my Pick 5. I think you can get by with those two, and I'm going to default to the New York bred, of course, but I like the fact that this horse has a win at the distance, although the one is I was thinking 7 pro. Ignore that. Okay. Shira is a high percentage guy, as is George Abreu, ironically. But it's just kind of interesting that this horse ran in the spinaway in her second career start, which was obviously a reach, right? And it didn't work out well. And now she gets claimed for 20. I like the fact, Howard, that they claimed her for 20 and they got her in for 50. That shows a little confidence that, if they're going to lose her, they're going to get their money back and then some. So I honestly, I see you guys both took the 2. I thought it's one of those 2.
Yeah, it definitely looks that way. And 10 Strike Racing, Marshall Graham, the new ownership, they're sharp guys, Paul. So they must think that this horse has got some upside. Sue Ellen, Michigan by Mo Heyman, by the way, a very underrated horse, in my opinion. Let's go on to the next race, guys. And by the way, Paul, as you weren't here and we talked about, Jim Miller is coming on about 5:45. So we're going to go through a little bit quicker through these races. Good. We're going to make it an hour show today. Let people get on with their various amounts of drinking that I'm sure we'll be partaking here on Thanksgiving Eve. The next race, race 9, the second leg of the Pick 5. Again, this is Friday's Pick 5. This is the Mrs. Revere Stakes. It's a grade 2. It's on turf, and the weather has been actually fantastic in the Midwest the last few days. Mother Nature has no idea, guys, what she wants to do. Today here in Chicago, and obviously nice in Kentucky also, it was 50 and sunny here in Chicago. And I heard they might get a little bit of rain in the morning Friday. There's a chance of that, but I would be very surprised if this race is not on turf. It looks like the turf course, by the way, has looked better. I don't know if you guys have been betting Churchill. It's starting to look a little bit better, and they've been running on it. So let's just hope that it will be on turf. It's $300,000, restricted for 3-year-old fillies, and a mile and a 16th. There's one, I guess there's 2 horses that are pretty low in their odds. But I think there's one horse that is sort of the name horse. That's the number 6, California Angel, for George Leonard and Tyler G, which is a pretty cool horse and a cool story. But let me go ahead and switch over to our picks here. Paul, you're going with number 4, Bubble Rock, who I only have in third, and Pete does not have anywhere in his top 3. Convince us why Bubble Rock will win for Cox and Rosario.
Well, I think that, pace-wise, and I did not do a tremendously deep dive into the speed figures, but and it's one of the reasons why I left California Angel a lot. I think it's going to be overbet, but I just think the 4 is going to get a better pace scenario in this race. She is going to have to step up from those 80s, but she's got 85s and 84s, and she's got as long as Rosario doesn't do what Rosario sometimes, if he's on a speed horse, usually you're okay. If he's on a closer, you're going to wait for a month. I don't know. I just think race flow could favor the 4 this time around, and that was my basis for putting her on top.
Paul, as you talk a little more about the 4, I'm going to show the last race. The California Angel was in against Bubble Rock, and Lady Poochie was also in this race, who I think is interesting on Friday personally. So you want to take a look at the 1, 7, and 8. I'm going to fast forward to the late here. My concern with Bubble Rock, Paul, is I thought she's pretty loose here. I mean, you see the pace is not that low, and she still couldn't hold on. However, she does look loose. So this is a tricky situation. The number 1 you see on the inside there in the teal is California Angel, who really gets a very fine trip and runs on well, but doesn't get there. And then Lady Poochie is the 7. Go ahead if you want to talk it through here, or your concern.
And as I recall, Howard, I think we were on Sparkle Blue, the winner of this race, if I'm not mistaken. And I unfortunately did not have California Angel in second. I don't think. I thought California Angel ran well here because, as you said, it wasn't a ridiculously fast pace, and she comes running. One thing about this horse is she does come running, and as you're going to see here. To your point, Howard, I think they're better off with Bubble Rock with just going. You mentioned she was kind of loose, but not. I would just send this horse and try to open up. And I know, Pete, we talk about this a lot on turf. It drives us nuts when they have a speed horse, and they go the lead, but they're so concerned with trying to keep something in the tank. Sometimes you just open up, and maybe there's not enough time to come get you, right? So, that's my thinking with this horse. I don't think this race is going to be any faster than the last one, and I think has the potential maybe even to be a touch slower.
We both have Lady Poochie in second. Paul, I guess I understand the 8-1. I have no desire to bet Bubble Rock at a low price, and frankly, I feel the same for California Angel, Paul and Pete, because there's not a lot of pace. I'm sure California Angel is going to run on, Paul. And she's a nice horse. It's not knocking the horse, just the pace situation just doesn't favor her. And you got a horse like Lady Poochie, who's running numbers pretty much just as good, was only coming back in 2 weeks that last time, which to me is a negative in the race that we just watched. I think she's has a big chance of an inside post at a bigger price.
Yeah, but if you look at the last race, I mean, California Angel was behind her, so they were both closing into what you would say is a tepid pace, and California Angel came running a lot stronger than this girl, didn't she?
She did, but I think the 2 weeks, at least that's what I'm thinking.
That could be.
That was such a bad race that she's coming back in 2 weeks. Now she's off a month again. These are 3-year-old fillies. Yeah, I mean,
Lady that's Poochie fair. Howard, and trip-wise, I think you're right.
That's my angle, at least.
The potential is there for the trip. Now Leperoux seems to have, snapped out of it since they went to Churchill after a slump of. Yeah, well, he was on ice prior to this. So yeah, again, I think it's all going to depend on the race flow and the pace. Not necessarily who's on the lead, but is she alone and in what type of fractions? And but I will say, as I say, this, and it is, you said it, Howard, George Leonard. I did have this horse, California Angel, when she won the Jessamine at 17-1 in October of last year. So she owes me nothing. And how about a $5,500 purchase, Howard, who's earned 362?
Wow, it's so
For
cool.
those of us neophyte horse owners, Howard, would like to turn that around, wouldn't we?
Nah, I mean, it's a cool story. I like the horse. I just don't like the spot for her. Pete, you're not worried. I'm assuming you hope that there's some pace, or at least that, California Angel's not as far back. She's going to make a run. I mean, there's no question about that.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, real quick on Lady Poochie before we move to the California Angel. The one thing, if anyone cares about it, that last race, which was the only clunker she sort of had in a while, was also off Lasix. So it was off 2 weeks, but it was also off Lasix. And so is this race. Again, that doesn't usually sway me, but in case someone missed it, I wanted to make sure we at least
Fair
mentioned it
point.
so we
Yep.
don't forget.
Any quick
Yeah.
thoughts here, Pete?
No, yeah. And then on California Angel, yeah, I mean, this one, anytime you're relying on a deep closer, you sort of need everything to work out in your favor. So this one isn't, again, I don't like the price. The price is a little lower. I had this horse picked before I saw the morning line, figured to be favorite, but this is a little lower than I hoped. But I just think this is a good horse that, if there is any sort of pace up front. And again, Bubble Rock, I thought Bubble Rock might be a little better cutting back. So I think Bubble Rock could be vulnerable just routing in general. So if California Angel can get a little bit closer, I like Gaffleon a little bit better. So I think maybe Gaffleon could work out maybe a better trip than this horse has been getting. Just don't want to be too far back. Just be within somewhat in striking distance and see if we can get home.
I mean, she's the best horse in the race. I just don't know if it's going to work out. Also, the rails are way out right now, which generally speaking helps speed. So maybe there's an angle for Bubble Rock fans there. I'm going with the 7, guys. I don't love Bubble Rock. I'm concerned about the distance. California Angel, I don't know if the pace is going to work out. I think the big favorites, there's big question marks. Lovely Princess, I'm not going to show the replay, guys, but Pete, I know you obviously agree, is a fresh face who's getting better for McPeak. Again, she's more of a grindy type, Pete. I'm a little bit concerned she might be further back, but she showed enough speed last time where I think she can't be that far back. She's turning back. This is sort of the price horse that I'm interested. Pete, obviously you agree.
Yeah, at the price, I mean, I think it's definitely worth a shot. And that, I know you said you're not showing replays, but 3 back, that horse was so look, if you look at the last 2 on the turf, the last one was a win, and 3 back, the horse was just sort of boxed in and never got loose until late. So that race is probably better than it even looks on paper. And I agree with you at 8-1. I think this one is improving. You see, at least from a turf standpoint, the buyers have gotten better every race. So now we're in the 80s. If we can take a little bit more of a step forward, if you're maybe in like the mid 80s and up, then you're right in the mix with the better horses here. So at that price, why not? But again, again, another one. You just don't want too far back if Bubble Rock sort of gets loose on a slow pace.
I'm using Bubble Rock very defensively. I'm using California Angel as a B as in boy, guys. I think California Angel is just a better horse than Bubble Rock. That being said, and I agree with you, Paul. I think if Bubble Rock needs to be ridden aggressively, like if you want Bubble Rock to win, I think she needs to go, like 23-47, like try to run them off their feet and just hope that the turf, some horses don't like the turf or whatever. We'll see. Let's go ahead to race 10, guys. Race 10 is an allowance race. It's 7 furlongs. This is a real nice allowance race, I thought. N2X, it's a big field. It's $127,000 purse. You see the field here. I'm scrolling down. Moreline favors number 8, Call Me Fast, for Michael Puich and Declan Cannon, 3-1 morning line, which frankly I think is a little bit low. Pete, you're going to go with the number 10 in this spot, Milliken for Wilkes, and the aforementioned Leperoux coming off a layoff, and I think recently gelded, if I recall.
Yeah, first time gelding. So that's usually, I always like that angle. You never know how the horse is going to react to that. So that could be something. The one thing I saw with this one, if you look at those last 4 races, this horse was under even money 4 races in a row. Now it was chewing up money. Also, if you were betting on the horse, it was killing you. But I mean, the fact that it was just taking money and it was against good horses. I mean, Injunction, we're going to see Reinvestment Risk. You see there, Dream Shake. These are all sort of stakes level horses. It's got the loss to Olympiad by only a half a length. And that was, it's not like Olympiad wasn't in good form at that point. Olympiad was a good horse then. And then I had Wilkes and Leparoux, the combination was, so it's picking up Leparoux again, who ran a nice second with 3 back. 32% win, 57% in the money in allowance dirt sprints at Churchill. So again, it's sort of a very specific stat, but at least it shows that the move to Leparoux, like you said, has been red hot. This combination has worked together well. This horse, the gelding, we'll see how the layoff comes about. But I think this one is just run against some pretty good horses, and you're getting it at 6-1. So I'll take a shot with that. This was a race where I was all over sort of price horses in this one. So this was just one of them.
This is the class of the field, Pete. I mean, if this horse comes back well, I mean, he could win this by 3 or 4. Wouldn't shock me at all. Obviously, the layoff a concern. Paul, how do you feel about gelding a horse like this who has shown talent? If he was gelded without the layoff, I would really like him. The fact that there's this big layoff with the gelding is a little bit of a concern for me, Paul.
Yeah, it's it's just got to be a case of the horses. Must be a bad actor, either around the barn or in the mornings, because you look at the running lines, and you don't. And I haven't watched the replays, but you don't really see any indication that the horses are overly rank, or
Yeah.
But you got to think the horses are bad. And frankly, Pete, you brought it up. For this horse to go off odds on 4 times in a row, by the way, that's. Good luck to the people. I mean, I agree. This horse absolutely could win, but if you were betting this horse down to 4 to 5 in those $100,000 allowance races, you need more than turkey tomorrow. I'll tell you. Against, as you point out, Pete, not against chopped liver fields either.
No,
right?
that's what surprised me. When you look at the field, you're like, man, they were betting this horse as the favorite. I don't know what.
And I wonder
what was
if
going on.
I wonder if this is Wilkes just trying out the ultimate equipment change, because the horse is bet like crazy for it. It doesn't run terribly, but just can't seal the deal. He won his maiden by 8, and was bet down to 5-2 against Olympiad. So
yeah,
I just wonder if it's Wilkes just figuring, what, Lasix isn't working necessarily, so let's try this. So while I think the horse can win, I don't love that move, to be honest. I think it smacks more of kind of the trainer just throwing his hands up saying, all right, let's try something else.
One other quick thing on that one real quick was there's a lot of blue blue time form fractions on that page, and there should be a little bit more speed in this one. This one that 10 likes to come off the pace a little bit. So maybe with a hotter pace too, there'd be something to chase into. But again, I was a little spread in this one anyway. So it's not like I was like all in on this horse on top. It was sort of a spread race for me to begin with.
Paul, I will say, Pete, Howard, if this horse can run the reinvestment risk race from Gulfstream back in February, he'll win this race by 5.
Yeah.
Paul, I have a pretty strong opinion in this race. You and I agree. I really like Gulfstream Way. Tell us why you like the one.
I think this is the classic case of, Brad Cox takes a good horse and moves him up to be even a better horse. And nothing against Chris Hartman and nothing against James Baker, but I think it's the type of horse, Howard, where after the race you say, wow, Cox really moved that horse up. And how high does he have to move him up with those numbers that he's been running? So
not much.
That's my point. Now, did I hear Giroux was banged up and didn't ride at Zia Tuesday, and maybe I'm not sure what his status is now, but I thought I read something on Twitter that Ricardo Santana picked up 2 mounts at Zia Tuesday that Giroux was supposed to have. I'm not obviously focused enough, but that was my thinking, Howard. I think it's a good horse. The other trainers having done nothing wrong, but to me, it just smacks of the type of horse that Brad Cox takes and moves up and puts right in the winner's circle.
I love the rail. The horses run on the inside. He's got tactical speed. I agree with everything you said. The last thing I'll mention this race, guys, Capuna is going to be one of my price plays the entire sequence. In fact, Capuna just might be on the power play picks, guys. This number 3 was running against very good competition. Was as a late 2-year-old, early 3-year-old was running, high 70s, low 80s. He lost to Cyberknife in February only by 3 lengths. This horse is off a layoff, but this layoff doesn't bother me, guys. This feels like Calhoun just wanted this horse to mature and get better. He's been working fantastically. I could see this horse exploding, guys, up into a 90s at a price. I really am interested in Kapuna here. Pete, final thoughts on this Rayla Gutierrez ridden horse?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. That's why I had this one in
Yeah.
second. There were some good
Fresh
stats
face.
on the Calhoun Raylu combination as well,
Yeah.
en route to sprint races. So there was some good stuff there. By the way, real quick on the rail was 0 for 14 so far at this
I
configuration.
heard the rail has not been good. I haven't been watching.
Yeah, so I
Churchill
just happened to look. I was just checking because I was looking at that horse too and thought it could be the speed. And I'm not saying that should scare you off, but it was just again.
Yeah, I
note
heard the
to
rail
mention.
has not been good. I don't know. If it rains, that could change. You know,
And
we'll
all it
see.
takes is 1 to get to 1 to 15, and it doesn't matter, and then it won't matter anymore anyway.
Yeah. Guys, let's go to the Clark. The Clark is race 11. This is the 4th leg. It's a grade 1. It's always a fantastic race. I'm not sure this year it's the best rendition for many reasons, really. It'll be at about post time, about 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. It's $750,000. It is a grade 1. It's a 1.1 miles. And of course, there's one big name here for sure, and that is the Derby winner, number 4, Rich Strike, for, of course, the connections of Reed and Leon stays on. And Pete, you are showing your faith in Rich Strike, who frankly has the best figs in this race and has faced the best horses.
Yeah, and on paper there looks to be speed as well. So loves. I mean, again, this was at first I was actually spreading a little bit in this race, but it wound up being all the low choices. So, because again, it's hard to depend on a deep closer. So you never want to fully depend on a deep closer unless they're just a great horse. And it's not like Rich Strike is a great horse, but does really like Church.
Whoa!
I know. So surprising.
He won the damn Derby. Wait a minute.
So surprising.
He's run pretty well since. We all have to admit that. You can say
I'm saying I'm not. That wasn't a knock. That's just saying if you're going to be a great if you're going to be a closer that comes from deep, you have to be great to be completely relied upon. So, I think he's probably his best race is probably the best in this field potentially. So. And I do think there's enough speed in here with the, West Willpower, Trademark, Injunction, Last Samurai. All 4 of them, have shown some speed in the past. So if it does heat up, and it's not that big of a field, so Rich Strike maybe doesn't lose touch. And maybe you get more of the race against Hot Rod Charlie 2 back, where the horse is a little bit closer as opposed to some of the other races where he's just sort of taken way back and puts himself out of it. So that's what I'm looking for. By the way, before we move on, Trish is commenting, and Trish had a birthday this week. So happy birthday, Trish.
Birthday,
we all
Trish.
saw it on Twitter. So happy birthday.
Trish.
But that's it for me on the Rich Strike side.
Paul is once again showing his complete and utter hatred and despising of not only Rich Strike, but of course of Flightline and their connections.
Not true.
The vitriol continues even on Thanksgiving Eve, as Paul does not have the beloved Rich Strike anywhere in his top 3. He's going with West Willpower on the outside.
Wait, we should let Paul answer Trish's question here. This is right up his alley.
I can't even.
Oh,
I can't even. Look,
for anyone listening on the audio version, sorry, Paul. For anyone listening on the audio version, she asked if Rich Strike wins, is he going to be 3-year-old of the year? So go ahead, Paul.
I mean, that's I don't know what to say about that horse. First of all, and he can't control this, but this is a grade 1 race in name only. And
Kyle joined the show.
They keep putting fields like this together. It'll be a grade 2. It has absolutely run creditably. I'll be honest with you, and we've talked about this many times, and I think I put it in our text thread this week. First thing they said after the Classic, what did they say? We're done for the year, correct?
Yep.
Now, where is he? He's in the clock. Oh, he likes Churchill. He's training well. I don't know if you guys heard. He's training well.
And Pete's dog Guppy loves Rich Strike.
You hear that, right? She's ready. She loves ready. She loves it.
She's about to jump through the screen and bark at you for not putting Rich
either
Strike
that or she hates Paul.
3.
She either likes Rich Strike or hates Paul. I'm not sure.
Oh, I would not blame her for either. but I don't like. I'm not a big fan of the change in plans, and I always qualify it with these trainers know their horses. But we talked about it with Gufo, Howard. When the plan was set for Gufo, we talked about it with who was the other horse they were going to run in the? Yeah, Gufo was going to run in the Joe Hirsch.
Yeah,
they made that detour to Kentucky Downs and didn't run well, particularly in any of them. You mentioned Howard Leon staying on. I look at the Derby ride was a Hall of Fame ride, but with the guys in that room, I'm just taking a quick. Tyler is in the race, but hey, look, he can beat me. I'll clap. I don't think he's a bad horse. I think if anyone wants him in the conversation of the 3-year-old of the year, they should be institutionalized before they take up someone else's turkey tomorrow.
Wow. Sorry guys, I'm contacting Jim Miller here as we're speaking. Pete just stepped out. Paul, why don't you talk about my top choice while I take care of something real quick here?
7? You on the 7, Howard? Or you on the 1?
No, I'm on Proxy. I think
I
Proxy's
like Proxy.
here.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
I think he certainly fits Paul, and
I agree.
He's fresh, which I don't know if it's going to work out, but I think it might at this time of year. And I just have questions about Wes Willpower and Rich Strike, which I'll talk about after you go ahead and talk about Proxy, please.
I think Howard Proxy has the potential to get a better trip, but Rosario, I don't think he wins this race from 11 back. Like he had him 11 back in the Foster, taking on horses like Olympiad and American Revolution. Now this field is certainly not that strong, but from the rail, in a race that is far from loaded with speed, which is why I went with the 7, because I honestly think the 7 has a very good chance to go gate to wire.
Oh, no chance.
You don't like the 7?
No chance.
Wow, that's mean.
What's Injunction doing? Gonna let the 7 go?
That is mean, Howard.
Oh, listen, I'm bringing it. Come on, Paul.
I don't think Injunction's as fast as the 7.
Really?
Maybe he is. All right, so he sits off Injunction. Then where's the rest of the team?
Now, I'm just giving you a little crap here, but according to the early time form, Wes Willpower is 105. Injunction's 115. If you believe in correct,
so maybe he sits off him. But my point is, in general, which is why I think it doesn't set up particularly well for Rich Strike, is it isn't that fast a race, which is why, back to your pick, Howard, I think Proxy needs to be put in this race, and I think there's every opportunity for him to be. And I think if you're betting him, you also want him to be put into the race. I'm not talking about on the lead, but also not last. Right.
Yeah. Well, he's not going to outkick Rich Strike. Obviously, is what I agree with you there.
Yeah, so but don't you think he has the potential to get a? Don't you think he has the potential to get a really good trip?
Who's
Proxy?
that? Oh, great horse. I think he's going to be mid-pack. I think he's going to be mid-pack. I don't know where
Rosario does it. Joel, as great as he is, sometimes he rides the same race regardless of the horse and regardless of the circumstance. And that's how this horse was ridden last time. This horse had no chance to win the way he was ridden last time.
Yeah.
Now, I agree. If he's mid-pack and tactical, by the way, I think you just saw on the screen that the 2021 BCBC champion likes the 7 in this race, Howard.
I don't. Who the hell's that? I don't.
Matt Miller. Okay. That's my guy, Matt Miller.
He also liked one-timer at Kentucky. Whoops.
If you keep it up, Howard, when Matt Miller comes to Saratoga on Whitney weekend next year, which is already a done deal, you might not be on the dance card if you keep.
I'll be on the grill being barbecued. I'll be food. That's what I'll be.
You'll be under the. That's honestly, be legendary. We got to get Pete up there as well.
Yeah, for sure. Last thing, guys, before we go on to the last race, then we're going to bring Jim Miller on. My concern with Wes Willpower, Pete, and let me bring up the PPs. I think this has to be pointed out for people that are serious handicappers that like using Timeform US like I do. This horse ran 2 big races, but Pete, glacial fractions. There's no way that is happening on Friday with Injunction. And I just don't see Wes Willpower being nearly as good chasing after fast speed going this distance. Now, maybe he's just that good now and I'm wrong, but he's going to have to prove it to me at a low price.
Yeah, it's a tough call because you guys mentioned this. I don't remember if it was the first race of the sequence or whatever, when you had the claim and Cox picked up the horse and you said you sort of get that bump after that. This horse almost looks like is starting to get that as well. And it ran against Injunction and Last Samurai, two of the other, potential speed horses in this race. And this one wound up coming off the pace. Then last time against Last Samurai, this one was on the lead. Yeah, I don't think. But again, how many times have we said, oh, I don't think this horse is going to get up and get an easy lead. And then they do. The other horses don't go. And then you're sitting there watching this one run around the track. So again, we always think we can predict the pace, and that's what we have to do. But how
not as much in a grade 1 for $750,000, though. I think we'd all agree with that.
No, I would hope so.
Oh, I'd be happy to bet you any reasonable amount of money or side wager that West Willpower will not have the lead on the first turn.
Well, he could sit off. He could sit off the
informative.
Yeah, he could. I just want to show you this.
Can
you read this?
Can you guys read this? By the way, no, not at all.
It says Matt Miller knows best.
I like it. Saez is aggressive though too, so Saez could be, the change to Saez could be.
That's a factor, Pete. That's a factor.
That's a good point, guys. We're gonna really brush through the last race very quickly. I got to be honest; it's not the best race I've ever seen here. First of all, the 7.5 furlongs. Since when did they write these for 7.5? That was weird. But anyway, these are for maiden fillies, 3-year-olds and up. The purse is still 120,000, which is amazing. Moreline favored the number 7 Shady Road for Arnold and Garcia. We're just going to guys like literally 30 seconds here. I'm going with the 7. Pete, you agree with me?
Yeah, I hated this race. I have no confidence in this horse or this pick, but you have to pick somebody. And I thought if this one can repeat or actually most likely, hopefully improve on that last race, cutting back just a touch where it actually ran sort of what you want, a nice winning race, then I think if this one does that one more time, it's got a good shot. Rusty Arnold has a 23% win in maiden special weight dirt sprints at Churchill. So it's, it's in his wheelhouse a little bit. So this is one I like on top, but again, don't have the most confidence, even though when we get to our pick 5s, I actually singled this horse just for the sake of expenses. So we're going to go there. And it's out of a Curlin. So, you figure Paul should have liked this one a little bit, even though he tossed him.
Yeah. And Howard, I'm afraid I had a typo, Howard, and it was me, not you. My pick should have been 5-3-2, not 4-3-2.
I was sort of wondering, like,
I don't like the 4 at all. I just had
okay. Well,
you don't like those 0 for 21 maidens, Paul? You don't like those?
I was sending you
no
the
worries.
picks in the car on the way home. From
That's fine.
Park. I was not driving. Don't worry about it.
Paul, I just switched it. I like the 5 also. This horse is by Will Take Charge out of a Big Brown mare, Big Awakening, and there is one sibling, and that's Take Charge Row, who I know was a turf horse, but still won 205,000. AK Safari won 84,000. This is just a bad field, Paul. And if someone's going to step up as a fresh face, I think it could be the stall trained horse ridden by Hernandez. I mean, why not? This is just a field of bad maidens with not a lot of early speed. Who the hell knows?
Yeah, I wanted no part, Howard, of the horses who have run. I said, for my top pick, it's going to be one of the first-time starters. I don't. Wilkes typically is, as you can see, 4% out of 92 races. He typically doesn't have them cranked up first time. So I was taking one of the first-time starters on top in this race, and I ended up with the 5. I'm going to go 4 deep in the caveman when we put up the picks, but I wanted one of the 2 fresh faces, and I liked the 5 better than the 3. It was that simple for me.
Let's put up our picks quickly here, Paul. We'll go with Paul's ticket first. By the way, Jim Miller waiting backstage. He is ready for Thanksgiving. That's all I'm going to say.
Yes,
Cannot wait to bring on Jim Miller. Paul's pick 5 is 1-2 with 4-10, with 1-5, with 1-5-7, with 2-3-5-7. You are tossing Rich Strike out of your $48 pick 5.
Yeah, well, the pick 5, Howard, you bet horses that are going to win the race. You use horses who are going to win.
I think that's the way it works.
I got to write this down.
Now,
put horses that are going to win.
If we were going to play the place pick all from Delmar, perhaps, then, hey, look, he can beat me. Am I going to lose any sleep if he beats me at 9-5? I don't think he's going to win the race, but he can beat me. I'll clap for him. I got nothing against Richie.
No, I know. Actually, you know what, Paul? I would not be shocked if he's like 7-5 or some silly number. I just say silly. I mean, he is the best horse. I bet
Yeah.
he's odds on. I really
Yeah.
have that
So I mean,
feeling.
I don't want him at
Um,
7-5. That's all. So yeah, I spread
the,
out at the end. I went 4 deep in that race. I went 3 deep.
yeah.
I do need 3 horses to beat Richie. But yeah.
No, they all every one of those horses. Well, I don't think the 5 has a chance in hell, but that's okay. Anyway, if Proxy wins that, or if Folsom wins that race, I don't know what to say. But listen, I like the fact that you're putting a price in there. Pete, you've got 128 with 2679 with 23510 with 34. Interesting, using injunction maybe to wire the field, and then you got the closer. I like that 1-2 kind of angle there. And singling the 7 on the end with a race that we really don't have much of a clue on. So just going with the moto horse there.
Yeah, when I was going through, I was sort of deep in all the legs and I was figuring out which ones I should chop. And then I figured, okay, if Rich Strike wins, if I'm playing with Rich Strike, then I don't necessarily want to go too deep. If I'd rather do what Paul did and leave him off the ticket if I was going to go a little deeper. But I did go with injunctions. I think injunction has a little bit of versatility. So if the 7 clears or one of the other horses clears, injunction could sit off and still win and get the jump. And then in the last race, if we were doing an ABC ticket, I don't even know how many horses I would have in this one, but I went with the 7 just because it's the chalk. And again, I didn't have a second horse that I liked that much. I sort of had a bunch. So figured on the top, instead of loading it up, let's keep it simple.
Guys, real quick, I'm going 1, 2, 5, 8 with 3, 4, 6, 7 with 1, 3, 10 with 1 with 5, 7. I'm going to take a stand with the Proxy. It's not that this horse lays over the field, obviously, but I'm a little against Rich Strike coming back this quickly. I'm definitely against West Willpower. And if it's not one of those two, who the hell is it going to be? I guess Injunction can wire the field. I don't think so. So I'm going with the fresh face. They've been pointing to this spot. I like Michael Stidham a lot. And I think this is a good single to have in a sequence, because if he wins at 3-1 or somewhere in there, it's going to be a separator. I'm using the 5 on the end there, Paul. I agree. That's the one first-time starter that could win. Guys, let's go ahead and bring on, we'll keep you guys on just for 30 seconds here. I want to bring on Jim Miller from Hawthorne Racecourse to quickly talk about the big race, the Clark, and then I'll discuss with some other things. Let's bring on from Chicago, the very festive looking Jim Miller. Jim, how you doing today? Jim, are you feeling okay?
It's that time of year, guys. You got to celebrate a little bit. I ran a turkey trot 5K wearing this in the past. So
wow,
one of those, and I'm a tall man. I'm 6'7". So when you're 6'7" and you have this on your head, you stick out a little bit. But for those that were there to watch, they definitely knew where to find me the entire run. So that was a good thing.
Jim, I love the guts. Welcome back to the show. Thanks for joining us on the Thanksgiving Eve. Really quick, while we have Pete and Paul on, what are your thoughts? I'm just going to bring it up again here. Yeah. What are your thoughts of the Clark? How do you feel about Rich Strike coming back in a few weeks, Jim? He is the best horse on paper, but boy, is this a horse you really want to bet at 7-5?
No, not at all. I was actually with Pete in here. I like the fact that he used injunction in this spot. Just kind of looking at the race pace. There's not a ton of speed, which works against a horse like Rich Strike, who probably is going to need some pace to race. Injunction has already defeated West Willpower. You have riders kind of jumping all over the place, too. Rosario rides West Willpower and wins. Well, he's on Proxy, who we finished third aboard last time. Saez hops on West Willpower. Giroux's over on Folsom. So much of that just jockeys jumping around was one of the things that scared me a little bit. But Injunction, too, the other thing that kind of stood out to me, guys, look at these races where the horse has raced without Lasix. The races have been very good. Some of these horses, Lasix is a crutch. Some of these horses maybe back off a couple of points. Injunction has run just fine without Lasix, especially the last couple of starts. Can a 98 buyer beat this figure? Maybe, maybe not. But can a 98 buyer in a race where nobody's really pushing you along, aside from maybe West Willpower, who doesn't probably want to duke it out on the front end, win? Maybe. So that's the reason that I thought Injunction provided a little bit of value in here. And I'm wearing a turkey on my head.
I think a 98 wins this race. I don't think anyone's going to run a 100 here. I don't see it. Jim, you and I are going to talk about the contest coming up this weekend. And Trish, I wonder, maybe Trish is playing. I don't know about free Trish. Maybe Trish has an insight or something. I don't know. Jim, I'm not getting it free. What the hell here?
No,
we got to talk to Trish about that.
There's free contests, right? I get the email because I was in the Hawthorne one last year, and I get the emails this year for some of the free stuff. So there are some cool free ones with real money at the end. You'd know better than I would, obviously.
Yeah, we have one that's been running actually all meet long. That's been a free contest, which is on the 5th race each and every day. You pick a horse in that race and build a bankroll. The winner at the end is getting 10 grand. So it's one of those things where it's not a cheapie by any means. It's something that keeps you engaged with each and every card. But yeah, contest this weekend, 10 NHC seats on the line. They're cool contests because they're real money contests, live bankroll contests, play the tracks that you love. But yeah, we do offer those spattering of free contests too, and just try to keep everybody involved.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
All right. So I'm just doing a little switching here. Pete and Paul, we're going to let you go so we can finish our Hawthorne segment. Pete and Paul, happy Thanksgiving, guys. Really hope you've enjoyed the time.
Much. Thank you, guys.
Families really appreciate it. Last thing, Paul, I don't know if you heard or you've seen, next Tuesday, Chad Brown live right here and a mystery guest. I know who it is. Matt Miller knows who it is. All I'm going to say is a TV personality. Might not be horse racing. Who knows? This is a show you're not going to miss, guys. Next Tuesday, I'm really excited about it. Pete and Paul, happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Thanks, you too.
Good luck
Thanksgiving, everybody.
All right, bye-bye, guys. All right, so Jim, I know what we wanted to focus on here is two main things. We want to talk about the contest. Yours truly is playing Friday. I'm going to play with 2 entries. It's a little bit cheaper on Friday, so I'm going to go with 2 entries. I will be at Oakbrook Terrace. So if people want to find me there, as long as you can fight through the massive amounts of security I'll have around me. No, the only thing I'll have massive around me is probably some beverages. That's about the only thing you'll find around me. But I'd love to meet some people out there at Oakbrook OTB. It's a beautiful OTB there. I'll be there Friday, and I will also be there Sunday, Jim. I'm playing Sunday with Kyle Roscoe. So Kyle Roscoe and I are playing Sunday. So I'm gonna play twice. Which means I can lose up to 4 times. But hey, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I can't wait. I'm already qualified for the Andy C, Jim. Once. I'd like to double qualify. That's the main reason I'm playing. Plus, I want to support the great folks at Hawthorne Racecourse, of course. Jim, again, let's remind everyone about the contest, the format, and then that will lead into my second question: is what type of plays would be in people's best interest over the weekend?
Well, the cool thing about the contest, and we've talked about this time and again, Howard, it's contests where there's not an entry fee. You play that bankroll for the contest, and the bankroll, like you mentioned, it's a little cheaper on Friday. It shifts into the weekend to be a little bit more expensive, but there's less seats also offered on Friday as well. But that's the money you're playing in the contest, and it's an open bankroll contest. And by what we mean by that, any track that we offer all the way up until the end of the Southern California track is going to be available for you to play. Any wager offered on those tracks is available for you to play. And a lot of people enjoy pick 4 wagers, pick 5 wagers, stuff along those lines. And that's really where these contests tend to be won. It's a little bit different from the contests like the NHC, where it's basically win, play, show, and there's a cap. There's no cap either. And the reason that is, we want you to treat this like a bankroll. We want you to treat this like the fact that, hey, I have a good day. I get to come home with this money too. And you do. That's the thing about it. Also, you go in with this entry fee, and it's not just we're keeping that entry fee. Whatever you make, you keep. Our whole goal is to just try to stimulate action and interest and everything that we can to bring people together for these contests. We've done a really good job of it over the course of the years. I think it's the reason why the NTRA puts so many seats on the line for these contests, because it's truly the best handicappers in the country. And there is a difference, Howard, and you've seen it with these contests. There's a difference to picking winners and handicapping races. And that's one of the things that we talk about. And it's a really cool factor for these contests. But when you get people coming from across the country, it's awesome that they get to focus on the tracks that they love. We're not going to just assign you races that you have to play, but you can basically play coast to coast and have that chance to really focus on what you like, what you can focus on, and then try to build that bankroll.
Now, here's the thing, Jim. I've played in many Hawthorne contests before with various amounts of successes. As you know, I'm a contest player, especially live money, but I've played $2 pick and praise. I played pretty much every contest that's around. I've tried different strategies with this Hawthorne contest. The big question I have for you, in your professional opinion, is it better off trying to play horizontals, pick 4s, pick 5s, maybe the more difficult bets? Because if you do cash, you can win a few thousand on that bet, and that automatically puts you towards the leaderboard. But it's a higher risk, obviously. Or do you think it might be better off trying to hit some doubles, some win bets, what's more traditionally done, I think, in live money contests, and try to gradually work your way up. It's really the big question that I struggle with going in these Hawthorne contests.
And it does come down to strategy, Howard. And the one thing that you have to look at is kind of the history of these contests and really what it takes to win. Basically, it takes 8 to 10 times your starting bankroll to win these contests. Every once in a while, yes, it's going to be a little bit less. We saw that in the Handicappers Invitational. It was just a really weird contest, but those were assigned races too. This being the open bankroll, it changes things. It basically is those multi-race wagers that win the contest. And it's for a couple of reasons. One, they have the much better return. But two, people can watch these wagers along and maybe be 4 deep into a pick 5 sequence, and it hasn't shown up on the leaderboard. So others playing the contest aren't necessarily saying this is a number I'm shooting for because they don't know it just yet. And you can watch along and determine, okay, where am I at for this pick wager? If I can hit it, is it enough to win? Do I have more money in my bankroll to boost it to that point? But like I said, 8 to 10 times is traditionally about what it's going to take to win these contests, but we see it time and again, and it usually does take one of those horizontal wagers to get the job done.
Matt Miller, of course, who you know well, this comments, this is not a paid ad. He says these contests are without question the most accessible from a budget standpoint to live bankroll players, and offers terrific value and prizes. A must if your family will let you escape, which I'm not sure.
We are not related. We are not related.
No, they're not related. That's a good point. Matt's a tad under 6'7", by the way. No, not related. Yeah, obviously there's family involved. Not everyone can get away. We all understand that. Was there ever a sense of allowing this contest being played from home remotely, Jim? Was that been brought up?
It's been brought up with the goal of the contest too, and a lot of it is because the reason that we don't charge an entry fee. That's why we want to draw people out to these locations, because without drawing an entry fee, the best way that we can do anything that is going to help us contest-wise is to get that money through the windows, because then what it does, it goes into the purses for the horsemen. It goes into the commissions for the racetrack and how you operate your business. So that's why we have it at these locations. And the OTB locations are incredible, Howard. It's good food. It's comfortable. Tons of drinks, tons of TVs. That's the other thing too. Accessibility-wise, you can plop yourself down and see every racetrack that you're going to want to see in one section right from where you're sitting. And you see that over at Oakbrook Terrace. But that's kind of our setup at all of our OTB locations. And for those coming in town, we have northern suburb locations by O'Hare Airport, southern suburb locations by Midway Airport, and locations in between. So you can check out the website. But it's not like it's just that one place that you have to go to. There's 6 different locations that you can check out. And the staff is awesome. Everybody does a great job, but they're really comfortable spots.
Can't say enough good things about Dakota, Rhonda, everyone there at Hawthorne who works tirelessly to put on a good show. And if you're like a college football player, a college football fan, and you're going to be like betting college football Saturday, what better place to watch your favorite games, do some betting on the side with the contest. It's going to be a great atmosphere. You got Michigan, Ohio State. You got some great games Saturday in the middle of the Hawthorne contest. That sounds like a blast to me, and probably many others, I would assume also.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And there's really good racing because, like we mentioned, all right, Tampa is opened. Fairgrounds is open. You got California going. Hawthorne, we're going to be back on the turf this weekend. That's something that definitely benefits our card too. So that helps it out. I actually walked the turf this morning. So barring any type of crazy rain, we'll be back on the turf this weekend. So your options are aplenty, and that's really kind of the nice thing about it. You're looking at an exceptional card from Churchill Downs on Friday. There's so many options out there. There's going to be value to be had. People play so many different ways. But that's the other thing, too, that's really cool, Howard. Going through our website and that, you can follow the updates time and again and again. They're updated often. You can see where the standings are. You don't have to guess because you're going to know because they are updated very often, too.
As you're talking, I'm trying to find the email that I received from Hawthorne. The number of tracks you can play, I can't find. You probably know off the top of your head. But anyway, let's get on to some of the interesting horses that you like. But the number of tracks you can play this weekend in these contests are tremendous. And I will say, Jim, before you give out a few spot plays for Friday for people to possibly bet in this contest, can tell you for one of my entries for sure, the double either going into the Clark or the Clark into another race will absolutely be a large play for me. If I'm lucky enough to have a decent bankroll, I'm going to be taking a stand in that double leading into the Clark or leading out of the Clark. I think for me, that's going to be a big play because I do like Proxy in the Clark. Jim, for people that are going to be betting Hawthorne, I know instead of going through pick four, we're going to quickly talk about some spot plays you like. This is for Friday, Jim. Which race and which horse, and I do have the PPs, we'll bring it up quickly.
Sure.
Some horses that are good at contest plays for people.
Yeah, when we're talking about contest plays, we're talking about horses that we think are going to provide a little bit of value in the contest. So we're going to start in the opener on Friday. And it was part of the reason why I was out there walking the turf today. I make those decisions on if we're on or off the grass. So we should be on the grass. But in race number 1 on Friday, look at the 7-horse Comiskey Park. Now, Howard, we've talked about this horse time and again, but we've talked about it before for races on the main track. But if you dig a little bit deeper, some of those turf races have been even better than what you've seen on the main track. And the pace setup for this race should be tremendous for Comiskey Park. There's going to be a decent amount of speed. Comiskey Park should be able to tuck in just behind those early pace setters, then come running at him in the lane. Abel Lascano aboard for Armando Hernandez, who's been very good this meet. And I think Comiskey Park's going to get a great pace setup. But also, just because you see those recent dirt races that haven't been that good, this is a horse a little bit better on turf, and you're going to get a decent price.
Yeah, I would assume that, wait a minute, baseball politics is in the same race as
Yep.
Comiskey Park? What is going on?
How about that? How crazy is that?
Is this the middle of the summer? What is going on? That's pretty interesting. What, tape to tape's got speed? I'm trying to see what else, other speed in there.
Lake Mills should show a little bit of speed. Tis Approved on the outside will definitely show speed.
Okay.
And on KP and Cindy's G-Man from the far outside both have potential to show speed too.
I like it. We all know you're just picking that horse because you're a Sox fan, but that's okay. We all understand that. Jim, who else do you like on Friday?
Yeah, I'm definitely a homer, so that's okay.
That's all good.
So
who else do you like on Friday, Jim?
All right, so we'll move on to race number 6. So race number 6 is an optional claimer. It's going 3/4 of a mile. This is an interesting race only for the fact that you might be able to catch a little bit of price in here with the 6, Pelago. Pelago's the horse I picked second. The horse on top probably is going to be Long Tall Woman, the 4, but that horse is going to take so much money. Pelago's run some deceptively good races in the last couple. You look at the start 2 back. This was a horse that was victorious right at this level at odds of 20-1. It was a really nice trip, kind of settled back a little bit early on and came running at him late. And the track's going to play differently on Friday than what we saw last weekend, where it was really cold. It was a little bit more of a front-end track, which tends to be the tendency in the wintertime, but it's going to be back up in the 50s, so they'll be getting water on the track. The track should even out much more, and a horse like Pelago is going to be overlooked in here, but we talked about it, Howard, a little bit last week, too. A lot of our top riders have gone on to other destinations. Jareth Loveberry's moved on. Some of these others have moved on. Chris Amy remains, and Chris Amy is one of our traditionally top riders. He picks up the mount on this one, and you will get every bit of 10-1 on Pelago.
That's interesting. And the weather also, I mentioned early in the show, Mother Nature doesn't know what she wants to do, Jim.
No.
It's like 50 and sunny, absolutely gorgeous today. And it's going to be relatively warm the next few days, so that can definitely change the track. I think you want to mention one other horse on Friday for people to possibly bet on.
Yeah, one other horse to bet on. Go to race number 7. Now, race number 7 is a little bit of an interesting race, too. It's optional $40,000 claimers in here. We talk time and again, Howard, about some of these horses that come out of stakes and drop and go to other spots. But one thing that we also look at, too, is when a trainer enters 2 in a race. And Armando Hernandez has the 5, Stop Shop and Amy, and the 6, Lily's Woofy in here. Lily's Woofy we picked last time, but look at the 5, Stop Shop and Amy. This is a horse that has been solid in the last couple of starts. Both of them victories with Tavares in the saddle. Both of them victories from a little off the pace. Now, the last start out was coming in off a little bit of a layoff, but when you look up and down this field, the 2 Isabella Canatella can show speed. 3+ Sheet can show speed. 4 Dorota shows speed. And then Lily's Woofy can show speed. So because of that, Stop Shop and Amy might get a great trip from the second flight. It's not a huge price, but I do think you get that 3-1, and I think 3-1 will be worth it.
Look, if people are wondering, I'm sorry, I can't stop laughing. It's hard to keep it. Can I wear that to the OTB this weekend? Would you
I have an extra
that?
one.
Just drop it off at the Oakbrook Terrace. Yeah. In all seriousness, people say, why are we touting 3-1 shots? If people have some guts out there, and a lot of people do, you put 200, let's say you have a $500 entry. You put $250 to win on, $250 to win on this 5 at 3-1. Guys, you're up to and that comes through. You're up to 1,000. That puts you close to the leaderboard just like that in one bet. I mean, one win bet can literally change your entire day, and it doesn't have to be a 10-to-1 shot, Jim, in this contest.
Well, and that's the thing too, and you have to look at the connections when you're playing some of these races too, Howard. Some trainers will put 2 in to make a race go, and they'll scratch 1 out of there. That's not the tendency typically for Armando Hernandez. So I hope it's the case here that he runs both of these horses. And a lot of times he'll do it and bring race strategy in the mix because it's the same owner as well. So if one goes to make sure the pace is honest for the other, he's still paying off his owner in the end. So that's a good thing there too. So if Lily's Woofy goes, it helps a horse like Stop Shop and Amy. Again, 3-to-1 provides value. We'll take an $8 winner anytime. And it's hopefully one of those things that can come through for us on Friday.
You know, Jim, it's interesting. Proxy might be 3-to-1.
Yeah.
I think I have an idea. Why not, right? Christine Race, who is a huge fan of the show. Christine's playing. Christine, you got to email me and tell me where you're playing. I don't know if you're playing Christine. I don't think she lives in the Chicago area either. So, Christine, I'm so happy if you don't live in Chicago, Christine, I'm glad you're traveling for the contest. Christine, email me and let me know where you're playing. And even if it's not Oak Brook, maybe if it's not too far, maybe I'll stop by and say hello. But great to see people that are watching the show, especially out-of-towners, Jim, playing in this contest. That's exactly what we want to promote here on the HHH Racing Podcast. Promote Hawthorne, promote these contests. Jim, before we let you go and dive into, I won't say turkey, but considering this is one of the bigger drinking nights of the year, perhaps a beverage with your family, tell us any final thoughts for the contest or anything else going on at Hawthorne or anything else coming up the rest of the meet.
Well, my beverage, I'm a Moscow Mule drinker, so I will be having a mule. The thing about Hawthorne that's really kind of cool for us is we do go through the end of the year. In the Midwest, we're kind of that last Midwest track before everybody heads south for the winter. So you do see a great mix of horses. And now Horseshoe Indianapolis just finished. So some of those horses will be making a stop too. What happens with that is when you have so many horses from so many locations, Howard, it provides value. So definitely take a look at that. The other thing that we can't emphasize enough, and we talk about it, weather at Hawthorne is a major factor. Listen to us when we're talking prior to the races. If there's a headwind, it leads towards speed. If there's a freeze, it leads towards speed. And it's because of the track set up at Hawthorne, how shadows are cast, how the wind blows and nothing blocks it. But it is something worth watching because you can get a lot of advantage and a lot of good value there in the end.
Listen to Jim Miller, guys. He knows what he's talking about. He does everything at Hawthorne. He's there. There's still 2 more Illinois-bred stake races for 2-year-olds coming up in the meet, and that always produces some nice future Illinois horses. So we're excited to see those as well. Jim Miller, I want to wish you a very happy Thanksgiving. You'll be on one more time next week, I believe, for our final segment. We might go in longer. We'll have to talk to the powers that be, but I believe next week will be our final segment here on the show. Wishing you and yours, everyone at Hawthorne, a happy Thanksgiving, and good luck to everyone playing the contest, Jim.
Good luck to you.
Enjoy
the contest. Notice when we have a commercial that runs about the Horse Player Invitational, somebody makes a cameo in there, and it's not me. It might be somebody else that's on the screen right now. So make sure you check that out when you're at the races there on Friday.
Oh, it's going to be on like the TV.
Yep, it'll be on our signal on Friday.
Wow, well, I don't know if it's me, actually. Could be. Maybe it's Peter Paul, but I'm guessing it's going to be me. Thanks, Jim. Really appreciate it. Have a great Thanksgiving, and good luck this weekend with all your bets.
Take care, Howard. Best of luck.
All right, bye-bye. All right, guys, this has been a fantastic show. Jim Miller, thanks to you for all of your help with Hawthorne. Good luck to everyone in the contest. Pete, Paul, everyone. I sent out an email. I just want to close by saying I wish everyone a really happy Thanksgiving. We have a lot to be thankful for here on the show. And the main reason is because of you, the viewers. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving with your families. And good luck with your betting this weekend. Take care, everyone. Have a great night. Bye-bye.